Good evening. You're with the BBC, and this is Steve O'Donnell and
Joanne Westborough.
First, a solution to all oil crisis problems has been found. The use of solar panels on the moon has enabled us to become independent of oil.
With lasers, we will be able to send provided energy to the Earth. We are now interviewing Professor Wandelow. Let's go to Simona at Columbia University.
We are here to interview Professor Wandelow, who has a PhD in astrophysics. Professor Wandelow, please tell us about your project.
Well, as you know, over the past decades, the pool of fossil fuels have been decreased quickly. This is because we can't renew these supplies. Fossil fuels take millions of years to develop underground, but we have nearly completely depleted them already. Therefore, there have been many campaigns to decrease the usage of these fuels and to find new ways of providing energy. My team and I are working on a project that will provide energy for Earth in great quantities.
Well, that's just amazing. How are you planning to do that?
We have placed millions of solar panels on the moon. The moon, just like the Earth, is constantly revolving on its axis. So the sun is shining on half of the moon all the time. We have covered the moon in solar panels that send electrical energy to powerhouses on the moon.
But how do they send the energy to the Earth?
That's where lasers come in. We set up laser energy transmission stations next to the powerhouses, which transport the energy via powerful and sophisticated lasers to receiving power stations to the Earth.
And I guess the energy is stored here to be used later?
Exactly.
So I'm going to explain a little bit about the moon with the solar panels. Okay, this is the moon how it used to be, and this is the moon with the solar panels and the lasers. Because there's always sun on the moon, the solar panels will always catch sunlight, and they will go by the lasers to the power plant. So the lasers go in here, and in the power plant they are converted into energy, and that electrical energy goes to the houses. That's it.
And when will the system be start operating?
Well, it will be opened today. However, it will be in full operations in a month.
Awesome, I can't wait. Thank you very much for the interview. This was Simone from BBC.
Thank you. That was Simone reporting from Columbia University.
Climate changes are threatening cultures around the world more and more. Rising temperatures are slowly but surely destroying the habitats of the Eskimos in Northern America. The melting of the ice caps is forcing Eskimos to migrate to mainland and completely change their lives.
Vancouver University is where they process the results of the measures done by scientists at the very north of Canada. They measure, for instance, the surface and the thickness of the ice. About 20 years ago, scientists came with the stunning conclusion that the Eskimo culture would disappear from Alaska, Canada, Greenland and northern Russia. They estimated it would take 100 years.
Much earlier scientists concluded the disappearing of the North Pole, but back then they didn't know about the population explosion in the north of Canada. They did know about the coming population explosion of China, India and the rest of Asia, but they didn't know that so many Asians would migrate to the north of Canada to have enough space because the temperatures have become bearable there and because Canada is close to overcrowded Asia.
Some people back to that time said that the Eskimos could migrate to the south and can continue to live within their own societies. But these people didn't know that the south they were talking about would have become overcrowded by the Asians. The Eskimos in Russia even like in overcrowded Asia and can't be moved to the south as well.
Now the scientists have concluded that the melting of the North Pole will be done within 10 years, and all of the Eskimos need to split up and migrate all over the world. They'll become such a small minority group that they will have to adapt to the existing culture, and because they're so small, they won't be counted as a minority anymore, which will be the end of the Eskimo culture.
So maybe Eskimos will migrate to a neighborhood near you.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Then they would have to adapt to a whole new culture.
Moving on, recent developments in genetical engineering have enabled scientists to conduct tests on clones to their feeling factor. As you know, clones have been a success except for the fact that they have to be trained to have feelings. Often they can't distinguish between happy or sad.
Recent breakthroughs in the field of genetic engineering have led to an increase of protests against clones.
We will give you an exclusive interview with Professor Rice from Hong Kong University. He will tell us about recent breakthroughs and why this is such a huge leap forward. We also have an interview with a girl who has been cloned and with her clone. They will tell us what the advantages of a clone are and how the life of a clone is.
And now to you, Derek.
Thanks. I'm here with Professor Rice, and he will tell us everything about the recent discoveries. So tell us, what are those huge breakthroughs everybody keeps talking about?
Well, we've successfully been able to develop clones with emotions, and they can actually transfer their feelings from one to another. And we've done this by developing part of their brain, which is responsible for emotions and feelings, the limbic system and the hippocampus. And we've been using some remarkable techniques to do it, and they involve actually recreating the emotional system of the brain.
Okay, but why is it necessarily for clones to have feelings? Because weren't clones made to just do the dirty work? Why should they be equal to humans?
Well, it's very important that clones should actually show their emotions, because showing emotion is very important for one clone to communicate with another. In fact, communications happen much quicker when one clone can detect how another clone is feeling or what signals that clone is giving off.
But can this go horribly wrong? Because, you know, in a lot of those movies you can see clones who revolt against the human species. So, yeah, don't the risk outweigh the increase of productivity then?
Yes, that's a good question. Without control of these emotions, there can be considerable risks. And this was very important because the ISCR, the body which monitors our research, made this a requirement. Well, what we do is actually we create inside the brain special negative feedback loops whereby emotions do not go out of control. And one of the ways to do this is to effectively hardwire into their brain these controlled processes. And this is done by a molecular engineering technique which we've developed.
Yeah, but then the clones still aren't equal to humans, and yeah, I believe that was the main reason for starting with, because now they are just still like machines, like still robots which you can just shut off if necessary. So yeah, why should you do it then?
Well, communicating through emotions is all about fast and efficient communication, and so we find that developing this, we've enabled communities of clones to interact with one another and respond to the environment very quickly. And that's a real advantage, because then we can have a workforce which works far more efficiently, and this can have great benefits to the economy of the country and to the world.
Thank you very much for your time, Professor, and now back to the studio.
And now let's go to a girl and her clone.
Okay, we're here with Rhiannon and Julia. And Rhiannon, could you please tell us a bit about what you did at school today?
Okay, I did some playing outside with my friends and I did some colouring in.
Okay, and what did you colour in?
I coloured in a mouse with a stripy tail.
Right, okay, and what did you like the most about your school day?
I think colouring in the mouse.
Right, okay, that's very nice. And can you please tell us a bit about the person next to you? Who's that?
That's Julia, she's my clone and she's not as joyful, she's a bit quieter and not as bouncy.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, then Julia, can you tell us a bit about what you did at school? Did you do any maths?
Yes.
Okay. What about drawing? Did you do any drawing?
Yes.
Okay, how nice. What about languages? Did you do any English?
Yes.
Okay, that's very nice. Okay, it's nice to hear from you two. Let's go back to the studio. Today is the 10th anniversary of Turkey's accession to the EU. Before this decision was made, however, there had been discussions going on for years. The main issue back then was the Turkish identity. But has the Turkish identity really caused as many problems as were expected?
So, the question of today is, was it a good decision to let Turkey join the EU?
Hi, this is Lisa. I'm in Maastricht, and the question of today is, was it a good decision to let Turkey join the EU? Well, let's find. Good morning, sir. I'm Lisa from the BBC News. May I ask you a question?
You can.
Okay, do you think that it was a good decision to let Turkey join the EU?
Well, I do think it's a good decision now. I have a second home now in Turkey, and it's really comfortable for me to go over there. I also really like that they're into the euro. That means that it's rather easy to do, well, the shopping over there. Yes, I do think it's a good idea. Turkish people are really friendly.
Okay, well, thank you. I think that was pretty clear. Good morning, madam. I'm Lisa from the BBC News. May I ask you a question?
Yes, you may.
Do you think it was a good decision to let Turkey join the EU?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. But I do have the idea that it was a good idea. I think already a lot of people went to Turkey, and it was a long way back, 2013, 12, 11, etc. And yes, I went there a couple of times. I liked it a lot. I also enjoy the people there. So I think it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Good morning, sir. I'm Lisa from the BBC News, and may I ask you a question?
Of course.
Do you think it was a good decision to let Turkey join the EU?
It was a good decision. Yeah, I think it was a good decision because then this will make you a lot of experience more cultural other inhabitants than normal.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's clear. Thank you for your time. Good morning, sir. I'm Lisa from the BBC News. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you think that it was a good decision to let Turkey join the EU?
No, that was the worst decision ever. All the Turkish people around me, I can't eat my normal food anymore. I can't understand the people. They smell funny. They talk funny. I don't think it was a very good decision. They took all our jobs. No.
Okay, well, that was clear. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Well, it looks like the opinion of the public is very good.
Thank you, Lisa. Now, let's go to the weather.
Okay, so it's going to be a very sunny day, especially in the north of Europe. Going to the south, it will gradually go cooler to around 18 degrees. And in North America, there will be sunny temperatures around 30 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius. Down to the middle of Mexico, there will be a hurricane, but it will pass just along the coast. So look out if you're a boatman, but if you're on land, then there's nothing to worry about. Down in Asia, there will be a lot of sun, especially in the west, and it will get gradually hotter the more north you go. Down in Oceania, it's winter, it's snowing. I'm Steve O'Donnell.
And I'm Joanne Westborough.
And this was the BBC News. Enjoy your weekend.